my name's Isaac Pedroza. They used to call me Sticks from Lomas. And, I'm an ex-gang member. But I ride for Jesus now, man. That's my purpose.
Where's Lomas at?
Lomas is located in the city of, it's actually 3 cities.
Okay.
Rosemead, South San Gabriel, Monterey Park, and even like a little piece of Montebello, like the town center. That's my neighborhood too.
What part of LA do you guys claim?
Well, technically it's in the San Gabriel Valley, but my generation, we didn't claim the valley like that. We just, because we're from South San Gabriel, that's what we say, Lomas, South San Gabriel. Now, later on, they started some homies claim SGV, but technically, we just, we're just Lomas.
How about your older homies?
My older homies say, that's where I got it from. My older homies were like, we ain't from San Gabriel Valley, we're from Lomas, we're from South San Gabriel. That's basically where it was instilled in me. Because we're like in the middle of the surrounding cities is Pico Rivera, East LA on the other side of Monterey Park,
right.
Alhambra, San Gabriel, and then El Monte in the San Gabriel Valley side. So we're like right there on the borderline, and we just never really claimed.
Well, let's say if you were in the joint today, what would you be claiming? What side of town?
Even in the joint, me personally, like I said, technically, I fall up under the SGV umbrella, but I was universal, man. I was all over, man.
That's right.
I didn't really play that, but like I said, I mean, I was good with a lot of the homies, but technically, I mean, we had a lot of enemies. So I used to be me and my older homie. I remember we used to say most of those dudes are our enemies. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna
we can't claim the Valle because most of the Valles are enemies.
Yeah, but that was just instilled in me.
Yeah.
From a young age. Like
right.
I said, the later generation, little by little, and I don't got nothing. I love where I'm from, where I grew up.
Yeah, of course. It was just younger days, and it was different time.
And I had
different mindset, brother.
Exactly.
Different mindset. So let's get back to the basics, man. Where'd you grow up at? Where were you born, first of all?
Well, I was born in a General Hospital in, I don't know if that's Boyle Heights, East LA.
Lincoln Heights.
Lincoln Heights. Yeah, Lincoln Heights. You're right. I was born there, November 27th, 1978, and I was raised right off of Cincinnati by Brooklyn and Soto.
Yeah.
The next street on I still call it Brooklyn. Cesar Chavez. Right in between Evergreen and Fickett, and I lived there till I was around 7. And as I mentioned before in other interviews, my mom, she moved us out of there because me and my brother, we're already troublemakers, and she wanted to get us out of the gang environment.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she moved us to Monterey Park, and we were in Monterey Park for probably about a year and a half. And
how old were you when you moved to Monterey Park?
I was around 7.
And your brother?
My brother was 10.
Okay, his older brother.
We're 3 years apart, yeah.
Okay.
And then it was right there on Garvey, right by Atlantic and Garvey.
Right.
Actually closer to Garfield. And then about a year and a half later, we moved to San Gabriel Boulevard in Garvey, man, in the city of Rosemead.
Right.
And I grew up in a place called Paradise Trailer Park. I think you actually went out there and checked it out, man. And
yeah, that place seems like you can do a whole segment on that place alone, man. That place is hood, man. I could not believe how that place looks in 2019 because you're driving around there and it's a great looking city, and as soon as you pull up to that place, you're in a third world country, brother.
It's the same. It looks the same, man. A little couple upgrades, but
if those are upgrades, brother, I don't know. I can only imagine how it looked back in the days, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so you move in there to the trailer parks. How old are you when you moved in there?
So I had to be a year, maybe about a year and a half later, 8 and a half, 9.
Okay,
9 years
so you're about 9 years old. So where do you start meeting your homies? To walk me through that.
Right when I got there, bro. Right when I got there, there's a significant individual. Actually, I could mention his name. I always have love for him, man. He's a guy that I believe God used. Cause once again, I believe that my whole life is it was all planned.
Right.
It was all predestined, and this individual, his name's Juan, Blinky, my homeboy Blinky.
Right.
He was already hanging out with the homies, and I used to hang around with him, and that's how, at a young age, man, already around that age, nine.
How old was Blinky?
He was my brother's age.
Okay, so he's about 3 years older.
Yeah, 3 years older, and that's how I
gravitated to the hood.
I gravitated towards the hood, and that's where it all started.
Okay, so you're 9 years old. Walk me through the initiation phase of your neighborhood.
So I didn't get jumped in till I was, I believe, it was on my birthday. I believe it was 1990, and that was maybe about, let me see, I'm trying to get the math right. So
a little bit about 13 years old.
88. Yeah, it was around 90, November 27th. But so I backed up the hood for about 3-4 years, somewhere around there. Then I finally got into the hood.
Yeah, because usually when you're about like 9 years old, I think Boo Boo was from his neighborhood. That you're kind of just still a little kid. You can still claim, you can throw all the gang signs, but people are gonna roll up on you and be like, "That's a little kid."
Yeah,
but once you turn,
that's how I was, bro. That's how it was. The homies didn't even want to take me places.
Yeah,
like back then, I have a memory. There was a big, remember they used to have the Cinco de Mayo things in Lincoln Park, I believe.
Yeah, Lincoln Heights Park.
Lincoln Park, and it used to be active, bro. And I still remember we're all meeting up, you know, and they were like, he can't go, man. I was so small.
Right.
I was like that little kid, like, what do you mean, you know, like I can't go. And sure enough, man, like someone got killed, like I think that day, you know, and but they were looking out for me. Now I understand.
Of course,
I would have done the same thing, you know.
Right.
But yeah, bro, it was a different time, man, different era back then, and it was an experience, man. That I'm glad that I went through all that because it instilled things in me, man, that couldn't get nowhere else.
Right.
Man.
So now you're 13. You're at the park. What happens? They ask you to join. You tell them you want to get in. How did that all work out?
I think I was around 12.
What's the name of the park again?
Garvey Park.
Garvey Park. I went there also.
Garvey Park, man. I met up. Actually, me and some dude that he became that same day. He got jumped into an enemy's neighborhood, right down the street from us. I won't mention the neighborhood, right. But it's a little street. It was my birthday. We were planning on, you know, we're gonna go and kick it, whatever, and he couldn't make it. So I went alone, and you know, we're kicking at the park, and I wasn't from the hood yet. There was actually 3 of us that weren't from the hood, and my homeboy's like, "What's up, man? You guys ready or what?" And that was it, man. There was no turning back. My homeboy, Buzzard, rest in peace. They jumped him in, and then he
helped,
and another homie jumped the other homie in, and then them two and another homie jumped me in, and yeah, I was right there. I think you went over there in that little hill.
Yeah. I took pictures of it exactly. Let's talk about that other cat that you said ended up joining a rival neighborhood. You guys were friends at the time?
We were road dogs, man.
Explain to people. A lot of people don't understand that sometimes. They don't understand how quick you can just get into a neighborhood and then boom, you got an enemy.
Yeah, bro, it was a trip because this guy, where he grew up, we all grew up together, man. We're all like, it's one city, but there was this little street that they were rivals. Where he grew up, it was like a duplex, and his neighbors, they were all from this little neighborhood.
Right.
And he grew up with them, but he had got into it with them or something. He was backing up my neighborhood, okay? And we used to go to school together. Like he used to wait for me on the main street. I used to jump on the pegs, you know what I mean? Right. And we'd drive to school.
You guys were boys.
Yeah, we were boys. And what happened with him? They basically forced him in the hood.
Right.
They ended up he was jumping the fence somewhere behind where he lives, and they jumped him. And they told him, you're from the neighborhood now.
Right.
And he just accepted it. He was like, he just went with it. From that day forward, he became my enemy, man. And
wow.
The way that works is you can be boys, you can be even family. But once the neighborhood comes in, especially back then,
right,
that's just who you are, man. It doesn't matter. All that pretty much goes out the window. There's some instances where, yeah, you might run into each other because you were boys. You may not do nothing to each other, but if there's homies around and you guys are enemies, that's all out the window, man. You know what I mean? It's gonna be on and cracking, man.
Have you ever ran into that guy now that's been 20, 30 years?
You know what? I ran into him one time, bro, and I was working. I used to actually drive a bus, bro, out there in LA.
Right.
And I was driving, bro, and I seen him in West Covina. And that was the first time, bro, and I was like, and I was still in and out. I was still active, but I was trying to do good. And it was like I was like, man, because he was one of them, you know what I mean? Like, you know, gotta get him, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm, you know, I couldn't do nothing, and he didn't see me, man. He didn't see me, and I actually stopped, and I thought about it, like, man.
What would you say to him now if you saw him?
Oh man, if I see him now, I'll probably preach to him, bro. You know what I mean?
That's right. You guys will be boys again, probably.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I don't look at people like that, and I actually look at all that as an opportunity to share the gospel with people. I mean, enemies, homies, whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't look at them. I'd look at them a whole lot different. I'd actually love to run into them.
Right.
You know.
So now let's get back on track. You're 13 years old. You're in the neighborhood now. This is early 90s. Talk to me how you progressed from being a little wannabe kid, which we all are at one point, you know.
You just called me a wannabe? No.
to being a 13-year-old gang member. And, you know, you see how you get harder and harder. So talk to me in the phase now when you're like 16 years old, where you at?
Oh, well, a lot happened in between. You kind of skipped the whole part. But
so talk to me.
But once that happens, man, I mean, once I got in, it's you know how it is, man. It's active, man. You're in the hood. You're doing your thing. Start going to jail. Start going to juvenile hall. As you start going to juvenile hall, you get hardened, more and more hardened. You get more mature in the things of the gang life, gang culture. You start gaining more respect, you know, and as that happens, you start feeling more power.
Right.
You know, there's only certain things we can explain,
of course,
like, with words, but you really can't explain it all. It's just you progress in that life, man, and you become you become a product of
your
environment. Like they say, your environment,
yeah, pretty much.
And your hood. And your hood, actually, that becomes your identity, man.
Right.
Your identity, you no longer represent, like, your name. You actually represent a hood. And that right there in itself, it brings a lot of pride. A lot of, you start to feel power, man. You start to feel power.
You think you got power.
You think you got power. I mean, you kind of do, because you're, what I mean by that is you start messing around with guns, and you start doing all that. And when you start, you know, actively participating in that kind of stuff, you do gain the power, because you got the power to and do some damage. That's what I mean. And you get addicted to that. You know, a lot of people don't understand that aspect of it, is that it's actually an addiction, and you feed off of that, you thrive off of that more and more and more.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that that gang banging addiction, I think, is what it is.
It's an addiction, man. It's and for some people think that you got gang members, and then you got gang bangers.
Yes.
And the gang bangers are the ones that are really doing what you're supposed to be doing, really, in the hood, because, you know, that mentality is, you know, you're what has he done for the neighborhood? That's, you know what I mean? What has he done? And you want to participate. It's like in a team, man. Baseball team. Everybody, you know what I mean? Every player wants to participate. They want to contribute to winning the game.
Right.
And it's the same thing in a neighborhood, man. Is
the biggest thing I can refer it to when I think about gang bangers, it's kind of like the Navy and the Marines. You're both from the same thing, but a lot of times people always think that everybody's a gangbanger, and the gangbanger is actually a very few.
Yeah, it's a very small handful. I mean, it depends too. Like, there was a certain era in my neighborhood,
right,
where the majority, you know, you couldn't even be from the hood. Like, you need to be, you know, a real, you know.
You gotta be with it.
Yeah, you gotta be with it, man. And it's not something that I'm here to glorify. You know, I want to make that very clear. I want to make that very clear.
but it's the reality of it, brother, especially back then.
And it's the reason I'm talking about it is because things have changed a lot.
Right.
Things have changed a lot. It still exists, but that's part of it, man. Is that people should understand that these certain elements, because, like I said, you got gang members. Some people are just in it for the fame. They're in it for the party, for the women, for the girls, for the money, whatever it may be, and they're not really. It's really not in them, man. I believe it can be developed in people because it was developed in all of us.
Of course,
man. We weren't born to be, writers and all that. But at the same time, some of them, some dudes. What I'm trying to get at is some dudes, they get in it for the wrong reasons, and then they end up in a situation. They end up in the interrogation room. They end up in a place that they never seen themselves in, and then what happens, man? They end up folding. They end up putting people on death row. You know what I mean? They end up doing something that's actually the main thing. It's the main thing that we're held accountable for. Is that's the main thing you don't do, man. So what I'm trying to get at is it's important for people to know that kids, people out there. It might seem fun, man. It might seem fun, but it's not, man. It's not, because we all end up in these situations. I'm here, you're here. We're all here because we kind of made it. Like we're some of the few, man, that made it. Most of our homies, man, a lot of homies are dead or they're gone, and nobody plans to die, man. Nobody plans to die. You can be out there for the wrong reasons. You're at the store getting some beer. Boom, somebody blows your head off. That's it, man.